Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again in another useful noon hour. And this one actually is going to be our last one for the 2020. So I'm really, really happy to have Michelle Lackey with me today. Michelle is a speech-language pathologist. And I'm going to leave it to you, Michelle, to introduce yourself to everyone. I'm so excited to have you, and I'm really grateful that you accepted my invitation today.
Well, thank you very much, Lina, for having me. So, like Lina said, I'm Michelle Lackey. I'm a speech-language pathologist, and I've been a speech-language pathologist for 20 years now.
Wow.
And 18 with Talk With Me. So I work with the Talk With Me program, and we're a prevention focused, and we're community-based, and we work with families and community partners who have children from birth to age 5. And we're really all about giving the tools to our community partners, so our parents, educators, all the partners that we have in the community to enhance a child's learning environment so their language will be the best it can be before they start school.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned the ages for the kids that can be enrolled in the Talk With Me program, and we'll talk more about the Talk With Me program, but let me ask you this. As a newcomer settlement advisor, I'm interested to know what are the requirements when it comes to like immigration. Like, do you only take people with a permanent residency status, or anybody, or people with Medicare? What if someone doesn't have Medicare yet, or how does it work?
So really, we take anyone who has a child from birth to age 5, and we're part of the Department of Education and Early Childhood, so we don't require a Medicare card or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a free program.
It's almost like part of the district, is it?
It is part of the district.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And
so,
Anglophone and Francophone?
Yeah, so I work for the Anglophone South District, and I also work for the Francophone South District. So yeah, I do both of those, and it's self-referral, so you don't need a doctor's referral to come see us. You can call us yourself.
No way.
Yeah, so
this
that's
is
really
just amazing.
It's always been that way, so that's really a good.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's awesome, because usually almost everything needs a referral, you know?
I know. We try to eliminate barriers like that, which is also why we're out in the community a lot. So we use early childhood rooms in school. So I'm at Seaside Park School right now in the beautiful early childhood room that has lots of windows.
I see the background.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
So we're fortunate to be out in the community and trying to make it as easy, trying to be as easily accessible to families as we can possibly be.
So if you are at the school, Michelle, and you mentioned it's from 0 to 5 years old, like how come you're at the school? Do you see any kids there at the school? Because usually the school age kids starts at 5, right?
Right, that's right. So we don't see school age kids. That's another group of speech pathologists who service the schools. We do some work with the schools in terms of the year before a child goes to kindergarten. They do kickoff to kindergarten and welcome to kindergarten events. Well, before COVID, they everything before COVID. So we take part in that because we want parents to know of our services in case there anything they want to address before they start school. And children also do the IDA, the early years evaluation. Well, this time of year, a little bit before. I think they start in October. And so we get referrals from that as well if there are any concerns. So we do kind of that's sort of the conjunction we have with schools, but every new school has an early childhood space. So we use that space, which is, we're really fortunate to be able to do that. So there's some of that space. Yeah.
And can you explain to people who don't know what is IDA? Like, you know, because some newcomers as well, like I was speaking to a newcomer family the other day, and I encouraged them. They said, oh, our kid is only 4 years old, so we will register him next year. I said, actually, registration is already like open. I do encourage you register ASAP kind of thing, and they were surprised.
Okay.
And give them some idea about IDA and how important it is. Can you just give us a brief idea?
Sure. So yeah, so any child who's born in 2016 now should be registered for kindergarten. And they do the early years evaluation. Direct assessment is what IDA stands for. And it's just a way to see if a child needs any further services before they start school, if there are any areas of concern, or if there's any support that can be offered to the child. So then the proper intervention can be, so if they're noticing, and it's FACE educators who do the evaluation, the IDA evaluation. So if they're noticing any concerns in any of the areas, then they would suggest the parent call, either talk with me, or if there's concerns with fine motor or gross motor, then they would refer to the hospital. Actually, it's self-referral there as well. So the parent can call themselves to refer if there's any concerns with that, or if they want to get involved with FACE themselves, then they can.
So FACE, they're under the district as well, or?
They are. They're family and child education. They're sort of contracted under the district. So yeah, it's just a way to see if there are any concerns that can be addressed or supported before the year before the child starts.
Perfect. So it's really important for parents to know that.
It is, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And where you guys Talk With Me program is a self-referral, but at the same time, if the child did the assessment through IDA, and they feel that there is a need for you guys to intervene, then they will refer.
They'll refer, with the parent after speaking with the parent. Yeah.
But we really want parents to reach out even before anyone identifying that there is an issue with the child, because you guys, if you can explain a little bit more on what the services you offer. Many people, they think if my child has a certain issue, or there is a concern from me as a parent with speech, behavior, or anything like that, then I reach out to you, but not necessarily, right?
No, absolutely, because we're really there in terms of focusing on preventing any speech and language delays. So it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to have a big concern. And this is what I tell parents a lot, because they'll say, oh, I didn't really want to call before because I didn't want to waste your time. But our program is really there for if you want information. So my job is to really give parents the tools, give educators the tools, give public health nurses tools, everyone that's in the child's life, to give them the tools that they can get the information and create the richest language learning environment possible. So we have programs that parents can come to. Parents call and just say, I want to come to your baby massage program, or I want to come to your songs and rhymes program. So they can just come to the program. You don't necessarily have to have any concerns. And then when you go, you just learn more from your speech pathologist or from your speech assistant about all the things that you can do to help make sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure your child's language is developing the way it should.
That's wonderful.
Have any concerns, or you can just call us with some questions, or email us with questions. So it's just about giving parents the information they need. And if you have a concern, then you have a concern, and you can come to a clinic and spend an hour with a speech pathologist, or if you just have some questions, it's just really all about meeting whatever the parents' needs are. Even if they're, tiny questions, we all have something to talk about with you, as you know.
And it's wonderful. I mean, it is a free service. It is something that's going to help my child, even if just to give me a peace of mind as a parent that my child development is on the right track, kind of thing.
Is on track, exactly.
Yeah, I need to do, because prevention and early detection to any, I don't want to say problem, but any concern.
Yeah, any concerns, exactly.
Yeah, is a key, right? Like it's
right. The earlier the better.
To fix it.
Right, exactly. And our baby massage program is a great example. So parents come to that, and it's our because at first when I was getting certified for that, I thought, what does that have to do with speech pathology? But it's really the massage is really kind of secondary to my opportunity to sit down with parents and talk about, why singing to your baby is so important. It gives parents that sort of quiet time that they might not get otherwise with their baby, and that one-on-one interaction, and then I can talk about all the other things right from the beginning that that I'd like to see them do and why they're important, and probably a lot of things that they're already doing, but telling them, you know, you're doing a great job with this and this is why. And so, you know, a lot of parents do great things, but they don't necessarily know all the theory, all the, you know, reasons behind it. So I can kind of provide that for them. So that's a great example of not necessarily having a concern, but coming to a program and then receiving lots of information right from the beginning. So you're doing, like you said, you're doing things from the beginning, and you're not always trying to catch up with.
Exactly, because it's really important for the child to also, when they start kindergarten and they start school, they don't feel like they're behind or
Right.
they're trying, like you mentioned, like you just said, catching up with other kids.
Right.
It's not good for the self-esteem. I mean,
no, absolutely. And children are very aware. They're very aware of what they can do. They're very aware of what other children can do. And for me as a speech pathologist, that window, that language window is I mean, everything, of course, I'm going to say this, but everything, you know, birth to age 5 is the most important for their development.
We always hear that, yes.
Right, yeah. those first 30 months are really that language window. And when your child is ready to learn so much language, so exposing them to all kinds of different experiences and providing language to those experiences and talking about that, those first 30 months are really that crucial window. So for us to be able to get to parents as early as possible is really important and really exciting that we can share a lot of information.
Absolutely. And you also mentioned the community partners. So from at the very beginning, so the community partners that you mentioned is FACE, you're part of the school district, of course, which is great. Is there any other community partners that you deal with?
Yeah, so we work a lot with the Family Resource Center with their play back before COVID. We used to do drop-ins at the playgroup, well, planned drop-ins, but so it's a great opportunity to just speak with parents in that environment. And I was going a lot to the South End playgroup, so parents would get to know me, and I brought my baby when I had
nice.
Yeah, so that was really fun for me to be a mom in that group. And then we do a lot of programs with the library, and I do with on the French side of that as well.
Oh, great.
And public health. So we do home visits with public health nurses when they do their 15-month visit. So it gives us an opportunity to get in.
Oh, really? You do?
Babies. Yeah. So that's been a pilot. I'm not sure if it's officially still a pilot project, but we've been doing it for years, and it's been great to be able to meet, you know, another group of moms and babies that we go into the home with a public health nurse. And then every time we do, you know, a session with another community partner, they take away some information that we've shared, and then they share that with the next family, and vice versa. I take information from the library or from the public health nurse or FACE educator. So we also do with KV3C, which is out in the valleys. They do playgroups as well. So we attend their playgroups and give little presentations sometimes as well. So lots of partners, and our region has really been strong. We've always had a really great relationship with our community partners, and we've been doing it for 18 years now. So they know us well, and we know them well. We work.
That's great. Yeah. It's a win-win for everybody. So who do you cover? Like, you cover Greater Saint John, as in like KV. You mentioned KV Grande as well, or?
Yes, we do. We actually cover, our speech pathologists cover. So we have a speech pathologist in Charlotte County. So yeah, and then we have one in Sussex. So we cover a pretty big area.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. We have 3 speech assistants as well who run some of the programs too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And community centers, you work with community centers like Carrollton, Nick Nicole, Crescent Valley?
Yes, if there are playgroups done there, then we do those. We try and drop into those playgroups as well.
Oh, maybe it is part of the FACE? No. Part of the
Family Resource Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now,
they do some outreach playgroups. So yeah, so we do that. Sometimes we're called into early childhood centers as well if there's a concern, and we do hearing screening. So we have hearing screening machine. I guess it's the same one that they use at birth, like for to screen newborns. So
you can do that without without a referral or anything as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's part of our, initially when we see a child, we try and do a hearing screening. I say try because not everyone's that eager to have their hearing screened. If you're under 2, it's kind of difficult. But we try because certainly
somehow you do your magic.
Oh yeah.
Give them a massage.
Distract them with something while you're sticking the probe in their ear, but it shouldn't take too long. But there are, I mean, if there's a history of ear infections or some sort of hearing issue, that can certainly affect speech development, speech and language development. So we want to rule that out as an issue right at the beginning. So it's just a very basic screening. If there's a family history, or if there's, you know, a history of lots of ear infections, then we will get them to go to the hospital to get a full hearing assessment.
Okay.
Because ours is just a screening, but it's a useful tool to kind of rule anything out.
No, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It gives parents as well peace of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing physical to deal with.
Right.
But you mentioned that you do home, well, not home visitation. I'll ask. I'm asking you also about home visitation, I guess, if you guys do that. But you mentioned that you go with the nurses at the 15-month assessment.
Right. Yes.
So that is not part of the home visitation, or do you do home visitation?
We do mainly in conjunction with FACE, with Family and Child Education, because they do. So if we have a child in common, then we will often try and schedule a home visit with the family and child educator, so that we can, well, it's nice for me because then I get to see the child in their home environment, which they're usually comfortable and natural in. And then everybody's on the same page in terms of what their goals, what FACE educators' goals are, what my goals are. So we do home visits more in that sense. And then yes, with the public health nurse at the 15-month.
Okay. Are you still doing them during COVID, or are they?
No. Well, we were. Yeah. Depends what color COVID you're talking about.
Okay. Yes.
No, yellow. Yes. We had started doing them in yellow again. So hopefully any day now. Hopefully, if we go back to yellow.
Oh, okay. So when you were in the yellow phase, you were doing home visitation.
We were, yes.
Okay.
We were doing in-person visits and home visits as well. Now we're back to phone calls and Zoom and videos, but yeah. So I will ask parents to send me some videos of their children, and then I have time to look at them, and then we usually schedule a feedback phone call after that. And it's actually worked out really well during, you know, I did a lot of that this past winter, I guess it was winter. Yeah, it was winter.
At the very beginning.
Time.
I know.
And it was great. I mean, who doesn't have 150 videos of their child on their phone, right? Not me. So so they would send me the videos, and I would have a chance to look at them a few times and then call a parent. And it was really great because I got to see the child in several different environments. Sometimes children are really shy when they first come to see me because they're in a different environment. They don't know me. So it was a great opportunity to kind of see them in a different, you know, in more natural environments, and then have, you know, we scheduled a time where the parent could talk, which was nice. So I had their undivided attention, which I don't often get, you know, one-on-one when they bring their child in. So it was a surprisingly, you know, a pretty good way to do my assessment. It was nicer. I found it worked better with children I already know. So maybe ones I had already seen because I sort of already knew them. So a little bit more difficult with maybe new children because I do find it hard in a video or on a Zoom call to judge the social skills. So the eye contact and the interest in me. I'm not sure if it's me that you're interested in or the screen. So if I sort of met the child before and knew that prior, then it was a little bit easier, but yeah. But
because actually I was just about to ask you, like, if you see some positives came out from the video recording, would you continue using that method?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I would, and I still, for some of the, even some of the public health visits, I would ask parents to send me videos before. So yeah, because you don't always get the child to, you know, perform when you're there, or
sometimes they're shy
on Zoom. Yeah, exactly. So it is a good tool. And we have one of our programs where we do videotaping, or sometimes we ask parents to bring videos when we are seeing them in person, so we can look at them on their phone.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of where I got the idea, but it has worked well. And yes, you're right. Like through COVID, we've sort of discovered things, new things, and hopefully things we can add to our repertoire of in-person.
Absolutely.
Working.
That's the spirit, to you know, take the best out of, you know, one of the worst situations, kind of.
That's
you
right.
know, that we had to go
That's
through.
right.
It is a pandemic, but I mean, we're resilient, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, we have to stay positive, and for our children, and yeah, for ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. You mentioned, well, it's regarding the home visitation, or when families come to you, like when you deal with families and parents who English is not their first language.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? Like, do you find difficulties? Do you have solutions? What do you do?
So yes, difficulties. Yes. So it's sort of a common, I guess, issue or concern about to get a struggle, I guess, to find interpreters. And even to really know, you know, if an interpreter is needed. So sort of the first step is, you know, calling the parent and having that discussion. If you can have that discussion, sometimes that even is right.
But maybe that also would be like right there, if the parent, like, since it's self-referral, if you notice that the parent called and they're really struggling with the English language or French language,
right,
or maybe they got referred from someone else, like we mentioned earlier, could be any of the community partners, and they tell you, you know, the English language skills is not, they're not 100% comfortable there. Like, what do you do? Because you need the communication part with them.
I know. Well, typically when they call the office, that is a question on the intake form, is what languages are spoken in the home, and what language would you like to have service in. So if there's any French, then I take that file.
Perfect. Yeah.
And if there's other languages, then yes. And you're right, that's kind of an essential question, because it's hard to sort. I mean, there's one example, I got on the phone, and then the mother didn't understand anything I was saying, and then I was trying to tell her, well, I'll have an interpreter call you, but I can't even get her to say that. So getting on the phone was really difficult. But definitely the use of interpreters is really it's a key element for me. Just like, you know, the toys that I use, they're my tool, and the assessment tests are my tool. An interpreter is my tool to make sure that I'm understanding the message that the parent is trying to get across to me, and that the parent is understanding the message I'm trying to get across to them. So definitely, if an interpreter is available, I really value what they do, because it's so essential to really having the parent understand, you know, what I'm saying, and vice versa. So
absolutely.
It's
and I know
I really see them as my tool.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I know we talked about this before, and I told you, like, at any point, like, we have lots of volunteers as well, and I hope if there is any client or any newcomer family from any language, if they feel that they need help, to reach out to any settlement, like, advisor and agent to help them. We do have lots of volunteers who are willing to help.
Yes, and I will be calling you more than I have, so just stay by your phone.
Perfect, yeah.
Yes,
no, that's perfect.
Really, a lot of the information the questions that I get from newcomer families, especially if there's another language other than English, French involved, is, you know, should I be speaking English with my child, or especially
that's
if
the $1,000,000 question, Michelle.
that's the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah.
And answer to that $1,000,000 question is you should speak your home language to your child. You should speak the language that you're most fluent and most comfortable, and you can express your values, and you can say things to your children exactly the way you want to say them. So whatever language that is, and typically it's your home language, that is really going to provide your child with the richest language model and a very strong foundation for all the other languages that they're going to learn. In Saint John, you know, it's English. They're going to learn English, especially if they start going to, you know, child care center at some point. But maintaining that home language is really essential. So whether there appears to be a language delay or not, it's really what's going to be best for your child's overall language learning. So not thinking of them as an English language learner or, for example, an Arabic language learner, but really a whole language learner. And having that strong foundation in their home language is going to serve them for their later learning language skills of English or French or...
Well, could you come to the office, please? Mrs. Turnbull, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay, yeah.
And their literacy skills later on as well. So singing in your home language, sharing books in your home language, all of those sort of pre-literacy skills are really going to be what's very valuable for their learning of English or French or whatever other language they're going to be exposed to.
But what do you say to parents, or what do you think, your personal opinion and from your experience, and you know, parents who have kids who are really struggling with speech, they say, well, if I'm speaking to my kid in our own language, and then he or she is getting services and help from people like you guys in a different language, I'm just confusing my kid, and the improvement is just going to be delayed, and it's going to be a disaster. I rather just concentrate on one language to help my kid better.
Right.
That's kind of true in these situations, or what do you think?
So I hear that all the time, and my answer is it's not going to confuse your child, because you can provide a language model that's the richest and most complete in your home language. So that is never confuse your child. And yes, I know we worry about, you know, if a child does have a language delay and confusing them, you're exposing them to, if they're hearing English out in the community or with their friends, and they're coming home and they're hearing home language with you, that is not confusing. And even when they start, you know, using language, if they're mixing the two, that's not a sign of confusion. It's actually thought to be, in the literature, it's actually thought to be a skill. So sort of...
No way. Wow.
Sort of what we call code mixing, sort of, you know, doing half yours. I mean, we do it around here all the time with English and French. But it's just a normal part of a bilingual child's learning of language. And when I say bilingual, I mean a child exposed to, you know, more than one language, or languages, I guess. But yes, it's definitely, it's thought to be a skill. So it's not a sign of confusion or anything like that. It's just a normal part of being exposed to more than one language. So definitely home language, for so many reasons, is a great thing to
you are encouraging, like, we have lots of newcomer families that are here and coming, and it's beautiful to see. So you are encouraging them to stick to your first language.
Absolutely. I would love, my dream, one of my dreams is to have some play groups that are not in English or not in French. To work with some parents to organize some play groups that are in different languages.
I like that.
I can go and, you know, have an interpreter and talk to parents about all the stuff that we're talking about right now, the importance of singing and the importance of sharing books in your home language. So, but having that opportunity for children to be in a play group of a different language, that is my dream.
I thought I saw some kind of advertisement from you guys, because one of your partners is the library as well.
That's right. Yes.
You did something with the library. I remember when, like 100 years ago, when my kids were little, I used to go to the library, and we used to sit like on the floor with with our babies and sing, and I think we still do that, right? And
we do. We work a lot with the library. So the other speech pathologists do, and I do mostly with Isabelle, who is at the Uptown Library, and we do our French joint programs. And so she had quite a group of moms and parents and babies, or babies, toddlers, I think, babies and toddlers. And so I think it was one of the moms who suggested we do this multilingual families group. So at one point we had done it in celebration. I think our very first one was in celebration of Mother Language Day, which is February 1st, I believe. Really, it was the single best moment of my career, because we asked parents to come and share if they could share a song or a story in their language, because we really wanted to value that, and we encourage that. And so I think we had 11 different languages, and it was amazing.
Wow.
Everyone was singing in whatever language.
That's beautiful.
It was
so
wonderful.
There you go. You're already doing it, Michelle.
Yeah, that's right. Starting it. But it was a great effort with Isabelle, and we had done a few sessions like that. So it was really wonderful, and it was really because you can say, I want you to value your home language, and I want you to keep speaking your home language. But unless you're showing that you value it as well as a professional, then so to me it was a nice way of showing, yes, we are taking our time to make sure that we are valuing your home language, and it's not just
that's beautiful.
Saying that, but we really do. So yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's great. And do you still do any programs with the library now? You're still in, it is still one of your community partners, right?
Yes, absolutely. We do. And actually, Isabelle and I are working on a series of videos, because we're not doing anything in person, but we have sort of an outline for.
Well, that's creative. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do them in English and in French.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe we'll get an interpreter to do it in other languages. So that's a project that we're working on right now.
I remember one time we were talking, and you mentioned something with an interpreter that came to translate for us, a family who speaks Arabic, and somehow, I don't know, like if you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. So yes, we did have interpreter. I guess we have some new ones now, but interpreter who worked for the district. So the district hired Arabic English interpreter. And I think we had just worked together so long that, he knew what I was looking for in terms of so not only do I like working with interpreters because, they can get my message to the parents and vice versa, but they can also kind of tell me, okay, is that child attempting a word in Arabic, or is it just gibberish? Because I don't know the difference between Arabic and gibberish. So we'd worked together so much that he was telling me like the sound substitutions that the child was making. So that was really good. And it turns out that they were the same pattern as what happens in English, which totally surprised me and blew me away. So then we were able to do some therapy in Arabic, which also blew me away. But I would never be able to do that without an interpreter and without one with experience like he had working with a speech pathologist. So it was really quite.
And that means you're really talented and great, Michelle, to give these skills to an interpreter, to have these skills of identifying, and all that. That's,
Yeah. Well, he was really.
He had a great teacher.
Oh, thank you.
It looks like, yeah.
Actually, he and his wife both did that.
Yeah,
she
awesome.
First and then he did, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's great. And let me ask you about while mothers are still pregnant, didn't you have some programs, or do you have something, or is it just through the hospital? Like I know they have I don't know what they call them, honestly. Help me here.
Prenatal. There's prenatal
classes? Yeah.
So there are prenatal
classes through the hospital, or do you do something?
It is through the hospital, but we get invited. I don't remember how many evenings it is once a week,
Okay.
where they do the prenatal sessions, but we get invited to one of those evenings, and then we talk about all the stuff that we talk about. And I do the French. Typically, I do the French one too. It doesn't happen as frequently as the English ones, but so yeah, it's an opportunity again to talk to parents right from the beginning of, you know, you can even talk to your baby when they're in your belly. You can sing to them, and you know, but then they get all that information, and I'm sure they get lots and lots of information when you're, you know, about to be a new mom or a new dad. You get lots of information, but it's really an opportunity to talk about, you know, what's important to do, and that it's important to talk, just to talk and to sing from the very beginning.
Right when your baby's in your belly.
Yeah, right when you're. I did a lot of singing and talking, and people are looking at me like, okay. Well, my daughter talks nonstop, so she.
Oh, there we go. That's great. And you know, with the speech, like I know it's mostly speech with the Talk With Me program, and from, you know, the name of the program, Talk With Me, but you do address also some behavior, maybe concerns, like if a child needs an occupational therapist, for example. Do you identify that, or do you then you have to refer, or how does it work?
Yeah, so sometimes we get sometimes pediatrician or a family doctor to say, well, why don't you go see Talk With Me and kind of see what's going on if a parent has concerns. And then if we can, because sometimes behavior issues have, actually a lot of the time they might have to do with a language delay. So if a child has a language or vocabulary, they need to express themselves, sometimes it does come out in aggressive behavior or different types of behavior, which is, you know, which is understandable.
Yes.
Sometimes if we see there might be some sensory processing issues or other things that we're wondering, then yes, we refer parents on to occupational therapy or physiotherapy if we think that's appropriate. And we do joint visits with them as well. So to make sure if they do continue with an occupational therapist, then I might go do a joint visit at the hospital with the family, so we're all on the same page in terms of what we're working on. And then I can get some ideas from occupational therapy and vice versa. So it's really that being on the same page for the family, and, you know, and then they don't have to come to 2 different sessions. They can just kind of do their, you know, 2 for 1. You get to see 2 of us for the visit. So it's really helpful to the family as well. So
Michelle, I have to ask you, how do you do all that? Like we've been talking for like half an hour or so, and it looks like, you know, there's lots of programs and connections and
well, that's what's great about my job. I think every day is so different. Every day I'm, you know, I could be at the hospital and in the community and then doing this program. And so, which is initially when I first started, I thought, I can't handle this. I can't handle being this flexible, but every day is very different and it's not boring, and I really love what I do. So that makes
that's awesome. And I have to say, like, I'm one of the people who used Talk With Me program years ago when my kid was little, and I noticed there was some speech delay, and honestly, you guys were saviors. Like, you were the best. And I remember we worked with you. There was a whole team, you know, but I remember we worked with you, and I still remember you. And it was absolutely amazing. And I encourage everyone to reach out, and don't even wait. I didn't know that I can reach out to these kind of programs just for fun and just for aspect for my child. And fortunately, when I noticed there was a problem, then I reached out, and I can't remember who told me then about the Talk With Me program, and I connected with you, and I love it. Like, it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah,
that's so great.
Forever. I'm really serious, and I can talk forever about you guys and the services you offer, seriously. But it's been so long. Like, I also, you know, there are lots of things that are, and lots of updates and new stuff that, you know, usually comes up.
Yes, it's been a long time.
It is, yeah, 100 years ago.
feels like it.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. So basically, you're really more than just speech. Like even emotional or psychological issues with the child, you can work with that. Is it through play, or at some point you really need to refer, or like if
Yeah,
you
I think
notice
if
any like behavioral, like huge behavioral issues that are not, I'm sure you're gonna try, right? Like,
right.
yeah.
It's definitely an opportunity for us to see the child, and if there's anything that sort of falls within our, you know, our area of expertise, whether it's play or whether it's social skills, because those are very much connected with language development. So we look for all of those things as well. But if there are any issues that are sort of beyond that scope, then we can direct parents to more appropriate intervention. And FACE is definitely, they're very family,
Yeah.
you know, focused. So they're a referral that we make quite often as well.
Perfect. And what if a family, like I get this question quite a lot, actually. Parents sometimes they ask, should we put our children in a daycare? Would
Right.
that help the child, or should the child stay with me? Some parents, like especially from the newcomer families,
Yes.
sometimes they want to put their children in a daycare to be connected and for social aspects. And I don't know if that is correct or not, but
Right.
also they're worried about the language, losing the language from home. They're just, you know.
Yes, I get that. Yes, I get that question all the time. It's a hard question to answer because it really depends. So there's not like a cookie cutter answer.
I know.
What I would say is, so because I encourage the home language, and I really, like you said, there's a concern about losing that, right? And I totally get that. And I'm encouraging, so if a child is getting, you know, good stimulation at home, so if the parent is spending time, you know, playing with them and singing with them and talking about, you know, if they're modeling a lot of the home language, then that's a great situation. And I would want the child to be in that for as long as possible. I always kind of think in my head 3 is kind of a good age, because it will have given them enough time at home with exposure to the home language. But then you also want to start exposing them to, well, like you said too, like the socializing, that's an important skill. Playing with other children is very different from playing with mom and dad.
Yes.
No, mom and dad won't necessarily grab the toy from you, but another child at, you know, early learning center will. So how do you manage that? How do you learn to navigate, right? And then yes, the exposure to English, that's important too, but while still maintaining the home language. So I always kind of, you know, like I said, it kind of depends, but 3 is kind of in my head, like an age where they would have received a lot of home language, a foundation for that. And it's a good time to start going to a childcare center to kind of have exposure to other children, and, you know, so that when you start school, it's not this big shock, like kind of.
I know, yeah, and that's the concern of lots of parents, you know, that's
Right,
what they want.
right.
And some actually, they tell me, like the mom or dad, that we're not working, we're not studying, but we just want to send our kid to daycare just to socialize.
Right,
and
right.
I guess,
And that's definitely a good, and I would say as long as you're maintaining the home language at home, right? And so what a lot of parents find is then once their child starts to learn English, then they'll come home and they'll start speaking English to their parent. And that's perfectly normal, and that's perfectly okay, because they've learned that language, or that English is getting them not necessarily what they want, but they're able to socialize with their friends in English. They're able to, you know, make themselves understood in English. So it's becoming a very valuable language to them, English. So then they come home and they start speaking English, and that's okay too. I always advise a parent, keep speaking in your home language, even if your child responds to you in English. Just keep speaking your home language, and don't have an expectation and tell them you have to answer in Arabic or you have to answer whatever home language it is. Just, you know, just keep exposing them to their home language, and they'll learn the value of maintaining the home language. And even if they're only speaking English to you at some point, that's also just a normal part of that.
Just a stage.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't be discouraged. You just keep speaking the home language, and they respond to you in English, and that's and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you know, with our children, the more they feel like we're forcing them to do something, the less they're going to do it. So you don't.
And the more they're going to resist.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I see, little teenagers in these small.
No, I have a 6-year-old teenager. Yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's great. Honestly, especially hearing you emphasizing about the home language and not to lose it. And even if your child is struggling with, whether it's language or behavior or anything else, it's really great, because many people, unfortunately, they just drop it just, because of that. So to concentrate on English or French,
Right.
and
there's no research out there to support that at all. It's actually it's actually quite the opposite. It's
wow.
It's actually quite the
There
opposite.
we go. According to the research, just stick to your home.
That's right.
Yeah. The kid is going to get the English or French from school.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's just wonderful. And I really want to thank you, Michelle, and the Talk With Me program, the whole team. You guys are absolutely amazing. You do, I want to say, you really do magic. And you guys are not going to understand until you try them out. Yeah.
We really, what excites us the most is when we get parents who really take what we try and teach them or give them in terms of tidbits of information and run with that. So that really gets
absolutely. Yeah, they see the value of your advice and they're following it.
They do. That's really, because parents really know their children best and know what will work for them, and just giving them a little bit of advice on how to play and how to sing, and that importance of interacting with them.
Yeah.
Parent
and sometimes parents, and I know you guys do that as well, you guys almost act like therapists, sometimes they just need the mental support in a difficult time. Sometimes it depends on the situation. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's not, it's only just a small stage. It depends on the situation of the child.
It does.
And you guys have to be there for not just the child, even for the parents.
Right. And I do find that's a really nice thing, that sort of a byproduct of the groups. So when I was doing, especially a group like the infant massage, so I think more of the time was spent after the session was over with parents talking to each other and supporting each other than the actual session itself.
Wow.
So it was really nice to kind of see that, to have that group, and then the parents were support to each other, or if they had questions or advice, because once you have a baby, you have all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
So it was really nice, and I think there's value in those groups for that as well. Just to support of other parents, or to see, okay, I'm not the only one in this situation, to feel like you're not alone, because that makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Do you have anything at the end you wanna say to parents? Any advice?
I mean, parents, they're the first and most important teacher of their child, and it's just about it's not about teaching. So it's not about teaching language, it's creating situations that are fun for both you and your child, and that interaction. There's nothing better for your child than to just play with things that aren't toys, things that are simple toys that don't make noise. Those are the best. Sharing songs and sharing books. And turning off the screens, so that turning off your own phone and turning off, not exposing your child.
That's a very good advice. Turn off the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is what screen children now they use. Sorry? Not now. No, not now. That's a good one. I like that. No, but for the kids, because they're usually on their, you see parents, they give actually their phones to their children just to have a peace of mind.
I know.
And it lasts forever. I don't know how.
I know, and I'm not saying never, but to not expose them to screens too early, because that can interfere with language development. And so, and to think that we're doing it, for their educational purposes, the best way for a child to learn is just interacting with the people who are in their lives every day.
Yeah, very well said. Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle, for this valuable information. I really, really thank you so much. for everything from a professional stand and from a personal one as well. You
Thank
guys are
you.
awesome, and I really appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
Michelle. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I'm gonna put the contact information for the Talk With Me program, you know, at the end. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Michelle directly or myself. If you need any interpreter in any language, just let me know. We'll find you one to send you with to Michelle or the Talk With Me program team.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.